Hey friends, Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. Today we're test driving the 2014 Ford Fiesta SFE. This is the one you buy for fuel economy. It's got a 1-liter, 3-cylinder turbocharged EcoBoost engine. It's rated up to 43 MPG highway and competes against cars like the Chevrolet Sonic and the Toyota Yaris. So my question is, can it really get 43 MPG on the highway? What can it get combined, and can you really live with it? The Ford Fiesta has been with us now in the US since 2010, and it received the styling update for the 2014 model year, which gave it new headlamps and a sharper grille. It also gained the ultra fuel-efficient 1-liter EcoBoost SFE option as well. Going with the SFE package costs you about $1,000 extra, and it's only available on the Fiesta SE sedan and 5-door hatch like our tester. Note that the 15-inch steel wheels with covers are traded for the SE's standard alloy wheels for better aerodynamics. While it may look a bit Spartan with less bling on the outside, the Fiesta SE does give you a nice for this class interior. The dash, door panels, and seat trims are very European in design. Fit and finish is surprisingly good. With the SE trim, you get a healthy dose of standard amenities from power mirrors, windows and locks to a leather-wrapped steering wheel. That wheel telescopes and tilts and gives you plenty of controls for the infotainment system. The standard display audio system was a nice break from the full-deck My Ford Touch. It's simple to use on the road with a screen display large enough to see and read both day and night. The audio quality is also more than expected for this class of car. Our tester was optioned with the manually adjusted heated cloth seats, which were very comfortable on long drives. In that package also came heated mirrors and auto climate control. Room, of course, is plentiful up front and adequate in the back seat. The rear cargo area is also what I'd call adequate in the 5-door, with the ability to fold the seats down to increase the area. If you really want trunk space though, I'd probably recommend getting the 4-door sedan. Overall, I find that this interior is actually pretty well executed. The quality of the switchgear is good. It doesn't feel ultra low rent like its price tag might suggest, and that can't be said for some of its competitors that are right down here in its segment. Sometimes you get in these cars and you feel like you're being punished. You feel like it's kind of a penalty box, and you certainly don't get that feel here. This has got a nice sort of an upscale design and an upscale feel to a lot of its switchgear and the technology this year. Under the hood is where the SFE is actually pretty unique, featuring a 1-liter 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. With 123 horsepower and 148 pound-feet of torque, it's both more powerful and more fuel efficient than the standard 4-cylinder engine. It's rated at 32 MPG city, 43 MPG highway, and it has a 37 MPG combined rating, and it comes only with a 5-speed manual transmission. That latter point might be a deal killer for some buyers who prefer or need an automatic transmission. Now, the first thing you notice behind the wheel of this car is that this 3-cylinder engine actually makes some noises that 4-cylinders don't. And that is to say, it's a little bit agricultural. I don't want to say that. That's almost not fair. But it does have a bit of a grumble, and I don't know if you can hear that. Now, one thing that's interesting is here on the dash, we have an upshift light. Now, that upshift light is there to help you get maximum fuel economy. And so what it does is it sort of follows the computer's program and has you shift up when you're going to get the best fuel economy. And if you follow it, that means you're bogging the engine. It wants you to shift it just a little over 2,000 RPM, which is what we're doing. So the good thing about that is you don't have to hear the engine rev out too high because, well, here we are, we're in 5th gear at 45 miles per hour. So if you follow directions, you're going to get good fuel economy, at least so it says. Out on the freeway, where a lot of commuters who buy this car might be spending a lot of their time, the good news is this engine smooths out quite nicely at speed. Right now I'm going about 65 miles an hour, and the engine's only turning just under 2,500 RPM, and that's even with a 5-speed stick. And I think that goes to the fact that it's a pretty tall 5th gear. When I first got in this car, I thought, boy, I hope it's got a 6-speed, because I've driven so many of these fuel-saving cars with a manual transmission, and they just need one more gear so they quiet out on the freeway. This one doesn't have that problem. The other nice thing about driving this on the freeway is it's actually got a pretty quiet ride. The suspension and this chassis, the body structure, seems to be pretty well tuned for noise, vibration, and harshness. The Fiesta's pleasant ride and handling demeanor, of course, also translates well to driving around town. While its suspension specs are pretty run-of-the-mill in terms of technology, its tuning and feel are very much European, which means sharpness and precision all around. While the 2013 Ford Fiesta was an IIHS top safety pick, the 2014 and 2015 models aren't, because the Institute now requires cars achieve an acceptable rating on the new small overlap front crash test for that distinction. Additionally, for 2014 and 2015, the Fiesta doesn't offer optional or standard crash prevention systems. Well, how do we do? I have to admit, I'm pretty impressed with this little car. For its price range and the fact that it is a car meant for high fuel economy, it's just not that hard to live with. As you look at the numbers here, look at that one right over there. We got 43.3 MPG for our week with the car. That is a combined average city and highway. That's pretty amazing to me because the car is actually rated at 43 MPG highway. It's rated at 36 MPG combined. And this was actually a combination of not only driving in town on the freeway, but we did a little bit of a road trip through the mountains. That's up and down mountains. So I was pretty impressed with that performance. Now, how did I get there? I followed that little dash light and I actually shifted when it wanted me to. Took a little bit of getting used to, but I was able to do it. That's the important part. Now, how did it star out for the week? Well, the only area I could really find fault with was that powertrain's a little bit rough and noisy when you're driving around town, but it does smooth out at highway speeds. Not a bad thing at all. So if you can deal with that kind of a, less than smooth powertrain when you're driving around town, you're in like Flint. So as we look at the stars, we ended up with 4 out of 5 stars for the week. I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I hope you enjoyed the ride.